Hi again, and welcome back to Minecraft Origins Explained. Today we've got the Airborne origin created by the user known as 𝓵𝓼 from the Origins Discord server. If you want to be able to download this origin for yourself, go check out the Origins Discord server using the link down below, as a majority of the data packs I cover come from there. Either way, the Airborne origin is a 2-impact origin. The Airborne is a race of airborne creatures akin to ancient machines known as airplanes. Let's jump right into the abilities. First, you have Iron Wings. You have the ability to glide as if wearing an elytra without needing to equip any. Just a little special prefix to it, the elytra pair of wings has actually got the texture of iron blocks rather than the typical elytra, so it looks a little bit different and a little bit odd. Next is heat-based fuel. You can idle in areas full of heat, such as near fire or lava, to fill up your fuel gauge. And it does exactly what it says on the tin. I mean, there's not really much to explain here. Now you're probably wondering, what is this fuel used for? Well, this is for your tail jets. Holding the sprint key mid-flight activates a continuous dash that propels you forward. This ability is honestly quite interesting. I don't exactly have the best way to describe it overall. I think the best way just to say is it's kind of just like a nice propulsion ability. It's like rockets, but you just infinitely hold them using up your fuel bar. And this does take advantage of that fuel bar we mentioned a little bit earlier, that you can refill by just simply sitting near lava, fire, or any other form of heat source to fill it back up. And it does last quite a fair bit of flight time, allowing you to get some pretty good distances while flying, which is honestly really cool. Next is mid-air brakes. Whilst flying, you can hold sneak to activate the brakes, drastically slowing yourself down mid-air. Now at first this ability may seem like it's completely unnoticeable, but take a note of my legs movement here. Whenever your legs start moving faster and faster, that's a sign of you slowing down drastically, and when comparing by just simply holding my sprint button and then letting go and letting it patter out by turning around on its own, it takes roughly about 7 to 10 seconds before the leg starts spazzing around like mad. When holding shift, it takes about 3 to 4 seconds before that same effect happens. So there is a notable speed decrease via holding shift. It's not like a full-on brake entirely, it is just a noticeable quicker slowdown than what would happen if you just don't do anything aside from just float around. Overall, it may be something you find useful, you may never even find a use for it. Basically, it's just a nice little thing to have if you kind of suck at trying to nail landings when you still got a lot of speed in your elytra flight, so this could be handy for those people that seem to crash in their elytras a lot. Next is updrafts. The rising hot air above lava and fire will propel you upwards if you glide over it. Now this ability is quite interesting because effectively what happens anytime you get close to any form of heat source, a best way to say this is lava, it will drastically push you up into the air. The very big thing about this is it's going to be stupendously useful than ever because it makes it extremely difficult to accidentally fly into the big lava pools. It literally requires you to be pointing straight down before you actually touch it, but even then it will still shoot you right back out of the lava, allowing you to escape pretty easily. Ultimately making it so that you're going to have a lot less problems with lava in the Nether, especially because you can just be, as long as you got your elytra on and you're flying, it will just push you away from the lava, so you don't have to worry about landing in it accidentally. Next is Gatling forearms. Much like a fighter jet fires bullets, you can rapidly throw held arrows without using a bow. This is honestly quite an interesting ability as it requires the use of normal arrows in the main hand that you're using to use the Gatling. It doesn't actually matter if it's in your inventory or not, it has to be in the hand that you're currently hovered. It has to be the item you're currently holding. If you're not holding arrows in your current hand, this ability will not function. It also will not function with any other things aside from basic arrows, which is definitely an interesting thing because it doesn't work with any forms of spectral arrows or any of the tipped arrows. It's literally just normal arrows this ability works with. And it fires at a pretty steady pace and it goes through the stack of arrows there pretty decently fast, and it's honestly quite nice to have, but I don't know if I would use a bow over it. It definitely shoots a lot faster than what the average bow would, but at the same time, you don't get enchantments with that. Next we have motion sickness. Unironically, due to your motion sickness, you cannot use fireworks to speed up your flight. However, you can eat them whilst crouching or braking in the air to regain some fuel. So there's two things to this one. I kind of understand why fireworks are completely useless in the normal vein they get used on, because I mean you've effectively got an infinite firework already, but the other part of this ability, I personally feel like that fireworks are just useless really. This doesn't make you care to actually get fireworks because the amount of resource drain that fireworks require, no one's going to go through the effort to do that when they can get the same recharging regenerative abilities by just simply having a flint of steel or a bucket of lava on them. So I like the idea, but honestly no one's going to take the effort to get fireworks for this origin anyway. though it also seems like this ability doesn't quite work as intended either, because when holding shift, which is my crouch button, nothing happens anyway. Next we got bulky frame. Due to your bulky frame, you have 20 total hearts. However, leather armor is the only armor that actually fits you. You're pretty tanky because you got so much more health, but you can't wear any high tier armor. The only armor you can wear is pretty annoying to get, really, because it just requires the gathering of a lot of leather. At least more recently in Minecraft's history, it's a little easier to get a lot of the leather, but I mean, imagine if we're back in the older days where leather was so much more rare from cows. Next is brittle bones. You take more damage from falling and flying into blocks. Now this is, I feel like, is going to be the major crux of this origin. You can get to some pretty decent and very reasonable speeds with your main ability that allows you to propel yourself at extreme speed, but it's a lot more difficult to control the elytras when you're at pretty fast speeds, so you're far more likely to do something stupid and accidentally cause your own death. This is also the reason why that break ability is also very useful to have for those people who don't quite know how to nicely land as an elytra, because if you don't nicely land, you're punished brutally. Even if you slightly just land incorrectly, you're taking like 4 or 5 hearts worth of damage off of that. Like, the increased kinetic based damage is insane for this origin. You actually have to play it smartly. You can't just land haphazardly. You can't just be an idiot and just spam your booster fly as fast as possible, because if you hit something, you're done. And then you have wheel feet. You slip more on normal blocks when you're not sneaking, and you're about 10% slower, due to your wheel feet, of course. Ultimately, this 10% slower doesn't really feel like it really affects you too drastically, as long as you're really good. Because a lot of people may or may not notice that being slippery allows you to gain a lot more momentum a lot more easier. It can allow you just to glide across trees when you're using a mixture of your elytra and that slippiness that everything's going to have with you, ultimately using it to gain far more speed and momentum than what would you do as a normal human Minecraft player. That 10% less speed may be noticed in some instances, especially when you're sneaking to do multiple different things such as building in weird ways or other things on those lines, but at the end of the day, it's ultimately going to be a decrease that's not going to be too noticeable. Just one thing you got to keep in mind is that whenever you do land, you have to make sure you have the ability to have a bit of error in that movement, because if you slip, you might slip yourself right off a goddamn cliff that you just landed on. So, what do you think about this origin? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've got any origins you want me to check out, then make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Send them to me on my Discord server in the video idea selection, and make sure to leave a like on this video. Make sure to subscribe, and well, check out this video here where we go through the gelatinous origin created by the same Discord user known as Silent. But either way, until next time guys, bye bye!